I am currently $85,000 in debt that my husband of 35 years does not know about.
I like my church. They've asked the senior members to co-sign on a loan for the expansion.
I'm currently in $2.3 million in debt, and I don't even know where to start to try picking up the pieces and moving forward.
So today we're going to be going over some call-ins on the Dave Ramsey Show. There are many different types of stories, financial issues, and sheer amount of money being talked about that honestly you just don't see when you watch the financial audit. So we have a lot to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's start off with one that I'm starting to see is a reoccurring issue on this channel.
I like my church. They've asked the senior members to co-sign on a loan for the expansion. I listened to you and kind of a flag went up. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm kind of weird. I think churches ought to follow what the Bible says. And 17:18 Proverbs says one lacking in sense co-signs for another.
Yeah, it's a $2.3 million. The church.
No. Stop. It ends right there. The Bible says one lacking in sense co-signs for another. That includes a church, especially a church ought to be following the Bible. No way I'm doing this.
Now, of course, I don't have to say how ridiculous this is, but another thing that I caught is that he said that the church asked senior members to co-sign. You could take that statement in a couple ways. Either the older people generally have more money to spend or to put towards a loan, or the other coin is that maybe they're not 100% there. When we've gone over a lot of the scams that have been happening recently, one that comes to mind is a clip of an old woman thinking that she was talking to Elon Musk and she was getting Visa gift cards, and the cashier with their manager at the store had to stop her because, to be honest, she was very old and just not all there in the head. So this seems especially devious to me, but this has come up a number of times now. Another example with the call-in, somebody was saying that God told them to invest in these certain meme coins. There was another dude that made the Jesus meme coin and said that God told him to do that as well. Just an absolute mess of a situation, and yet another avenue to take advantage and scam people. Some of the comments: this is a form of elderly abuse. No decent church is asking anybody to go sign a loan. Sounds extremely shady to me. No, don't do that. Why would anyone consider signing a loan of that magnitude? And this goes well with a comment from one of you guys from one of my older videos. God told me those people are bad with money. I don't know if it's maybe a way to not be responsible for your choices, blaming it on God or a higher power, but trying to use that type of reasoning or make excuses like that seems like a massive red flag to me.
I am currently $85,000 in debt that my husband of 35 years does not know about. I have just had my oh crap moment when I overdrew my checking account because 20 years ago we had to file bankruptcy. At that point, my husband and I separated our checking accounts because he is a saver and I am a spender, and I got us into that mess. So now I am door dashing. I'm working my full-time job. I'm selling everything that I have purchased, trying to get out of this debt because I do not want to tell him, and I don't want to ask him to help me. And I can't find, and DoorDash where I live is not that popular because it's just a rural area. So
how much do you make?
I make $38,000 a year.
Becky, what's the $85,000?
It's all credit cards.
Wow. And what are you buying? Like what's on the bills?
I was buying anything and everything I wanted. If my kids wanted something, which they're now grown, I would buy them something. If my mom needed help, I'd just give her a credit card.
Okay, so we have a couple of things. Picture perfect example of somebody who filed bankruptcy but didn't change any of their behaviors. Used it as a reset button, a clean slate, and then got themselves into almost 6 figures worth of credit card debt all over again. And we're talking, what, 20 to 30% interest on that? The other thing that has become increasingly more common is financial infidelity. Her husband doesn't even know that it's happening, and she doesn't want to tell him. This could easily snowball into a much worse situation. And as I've said over and over on this channel, one of the big reasons why divorce rates are so high right now are financial problems. So this really does not look good to me. We could look at some of the comments. Financial infidelity is so bad she did it twice. I would also want to put at least a little bit of blame on the husband, because if you guys ended up going bankrupt a while ago primarily because of your wife, and then out of nowhere she was coming back home with all of these random items that you most likely couldn't afford, wouldn't some sort of red flag go up in your mind and think that this is happening again. And the next comment kind of touches on that. I think he knows something, because what is she doing with her DoorDash income? It's so easy to get underwater like this if you're not watching. Like I said, 20 to 30% interest can absolutely destroy you within a matter of just a couple months. Wow, it seems like they need to go their separate ways. I don't know. The more I make videos on this channel, the more I see problems like this happening all the time.
I'm so confused. You currently are a high school English teacher.
Yes, sir.
And you have $175,000 in student loans?
Yes, sir. Out of state.
And what does this have to do with water polo?
I was recruited to play Division I water polo for them.
And you went there and it cost you $175,000 to play water polo?
I did not get the money I was promised.
And you kept on anyway?
I don't quit.
I quit doing things all the time that are stupid.
Okay, so this one was short and sweet, but I don't care what sport you play. If you get recruited and actually have a full ride to a school, you're in way better of a position than most people going to college right now. But something shady happened and she didn't end up getting the full ride, but still decided to go to the school and rack up almost $200,000 in student loans to play that sport for the school because she doesn't quit. I don't really know what to say with that one, but we could go to the comment section. $175,000 to be an English teacher is just crazy. Reality is that she wanted to play Division I water polo at any cost, and now she's suffering the consequences. I feel like if this story was actually true and she got recruited to do so, there probably would have been some other school to give her at least partial ride or a full ride, maybe Division II, Division III, I don't know. To me, it seems like they made the worst possible decision. I didn't get the money I was promised means she was cut. Therefore, no scholarship, and she decided to stay at the school. What a poor decision. I don't know, maybe that happened, maybe it didn't, but I probably wouldn't have stayed at that school if it did cost that much.
I have taken over handling our finances from my husband. He got into the sovereign citizen thing about 7 years ago. It's a group of people who don't believe that our government is actually a government, that when Congress let out in the early 1900s that the same people didn't come back in and they passed laws around our taxes and everything else, and that it's unconstitutional, and that when we were born, our Social Security number is used as collateral by the government, and so we have billions and billions and billions of dollars in an account somewhere, and our signature can pay off debt. Just our signature. That we don't have to pay back loans. We don't have to pay our mortgage. We don't have to pay anything.
Tell us, what hole are you in?
So he stopped paying our taxes.
Right.
He stopped paying our mortgage and our car loans, and we had a home loan that we got years ago. And he stopped paying all of it. And I'll just give you some numbers. Taxes are over $500,000, including all the fees.
My God.
Mortgage, they tried to close on the mortgage. They tried to foreclose twice. The sheriff showed up. And like I said, I didn't know about any of this.
Right.
I found out when the sheriff came and said, here's your foreclosure papers. You need to be in court next week.
This sounds like somebody who is chronically online. They start getting into the Reddit threads or the Discord groups, and they start going down these types of rabbit holes. That also now affects your family. It's not just yourself. I feel like a lot of people have probably seen those videos online of the sovereign citizens having a whole bunch of problems. Say if they get pulled over by the police, they start arguing, they end up getting arrested. And I don't think I need to tell you that there are many problems with our government, but as we've seen on this channel, if the government wants their money, they're going to get their money. So not paying taxes or really any bills is a surefire way for your house to get foreclosed, your cars to get repossessed, basically everything you have. And again, he made this decision that's affecting his family. It's not just himself. I just don't understand how you could be that way.
I am 35, married with a kid and a second on the way. I have $1.8 million in debt total.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Does that include your home?
I live in Montreal, which is the third most expensive city in Canada. And I work as a nurse, which is the cheapest paid in the whole of Canada.
And what is the $1.8 million on? I hope it's just your real estate, right?
Well, I have a triplex, which I owe about $680,000 on.
Mm-hmm.
I have my family home, which I owe $590,000 on.
That's not all of it.
And no, it's not all of it.
Like $600,000
I have two Hondas, which I owe close to $70,000 on each. I have $350,000 of personal debt, and then $35,000 of credit card and student loans.
What is your $350,000 of personal debt?
It was loaned to me mostly by my cousin, both as a down payment for the house as well as to renovate the house and the triplex.
Wow.
Okay, so this person looks like they jumped into the deep end immediately. Now, this is in Canada, so it's a bit less if we convert it to USD, but you ended up buying a triplex to try to do that real estate empire type of stuff that we've all seen online, right? As well as owning your own single family home outside of it, because most of the time that I see, if you get a duplex or a triplex, you live in one of the units and rent out the other ones, but they didn't decide to do that, and they had a cousin loan them most of the money to be able to buy their own house along with renovations. Adding on top of it the 2 Honda car payments that after the conversion are still $50,000 each for a Honda. So now you're in way over your head, including a massive loan from a family member, which is never a good idea. It seems like patience and taking things slow is increasingly more uncommon in today's world. $70,000 on a Honda is crazy. Sell your house and pay off both cars. Live in one of the triplex units and make sure the 2 tenants pay your triplex mortgage. There you go. That's what I see happen a lot when we're talking about people purchasing that type of rental property, especially when you're talking about Canada, how expensive it is to live there right now. But we have a very quick clip that goes along with the last one.
When you loan your friend money, they are no longer your friend. You can't keep that from happening. Their primary relationship is now slave and master. The borrower is slave to the lender.
So I know that's pretty extreme, but when we're talking about family members, cousins, especially that amount of money that was being lent to him, that completely changes your relationship and could be very detrimental if you have a tough time paying them back. I'll never give anybody money with the expectation that they'll pay me back. If I can't go without it, I don't lend it. The pain of asking for your money back. That would be a very awkward Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, right? Another similar experience from you guys. My cousin got into so much credit card debt his wife threatened to leave him. He asked me for money and I said no because I knew I'd never see it again. A few weeks later, I started getting letters from his bank at my address. Without my knowledge or consent, he'd given them my address. It took months of hassle to convince the bank that I had nothing to do with his debt. Never trust a relative in debt. It almost never seems like a good idea to me.
I'm 71. I'll be 72 next month. My wife is 66. She teaches at a private school. This past summer, in the heat of the summer, for Connecticut, our air conditioning went out completely. And it's going to cost us almost $14,500 to get a new furnace and everything to replace the one that went out. Additionally, my wife took out a parent loan for our daughter to go to college. I was adamantly opposed to it, but her philosophy is she's my baby and I love her, so I'm going to do it. Due to being in forbearance twice, once due to getting sick and having to take off work, as a result, she still owes over $100,000 on that. Our daughter went to a private school in New York. I have to go back to work. I took an early retirement a few years ago, but all I'm getting is a small Social Security check because my salaries were always low.
So now with a couple of these big payments, one you had no idea was coming, the air conditioner going out in your home, and kind of co-signing for a private university in New York, I don't have to tell you how expensive that can be. You now have to get out of retirement and honestly probably work for the rest of your life, unfortunately. I don't really know what to say because I know a lot of parents would want the best for their child, so that's probably why they took out the loan. However, that puts you in a very bad spot, especially if you're getting up there in the age. You might be in a situation where you can't work as much or as hard as you used to because your body can't take it. It's not that you're lazy, it's just not going to happen anymore. So being forced to do this because of a couple financial hits seems like a pretty rough life to live to me. If you had this debt, why did he retire early? I don't want to buy a house if that's a typical home repair cost. I mean, you have that, replacing a roof as well could be unbelievably expensive. Sounds like they never saved or planned for retirement. Do not retire with that much debt. Why would somebody do that? Red flag after red flag. Now here we have a couple clips back to back, one that I do agree with Dave Ramsey and the next one that I don't. But when it comes to us looking at gurus and making it look like it's so easy to make a whole bunch of money off of real estate or anything that they're really trying to peddle, just know that they're most likely just lying to you so you could buy something from them.
People who say passive income on real estate are morons. There's nothing passive about owning real estate. It's active. That's somebody trying to sell you a get rich quick seminar on TikTok. What passive is mutual funds. They send me a statement in my inbox. Real estate is a wonderful investment, But do not go into it, folks, with rose-colored glasses thinking it's going to be easy.
And I think more and more people are starting to realize this right now. With how expensive real estate is in general, many other financial people online are telling people that it's probably better to rent right now with the high home prices and the high interest rates. You could add on top of it a lot of the stories people are telling with their Airbnb rentals just not being worth it anymore. Tons of areas all over the country have skyrocketed with the amount of listings on Zillow or Realtor, trying to dump their Airbnbs and recoup some of the money, because honestly, it's not as easy as the gurus will try to make it seem. Just put a down payment on a house, then get tenants that'll never have any problems, or buy a condo or something like that in a very popular vacation area, put it up on Airbnb and just start raking in the cash. A lot of people aren't traveling as much because they don't have expendable income like they did before, which in turn means that you don't make as much money either. But we could go over to one of the controversial takes from Dave Ramsey that I don't agree with.
Jim's in Washington. We have all our monthly bills paid with our Visa card. Everything we buy is also paid with Visa. We pay off the Visa bill on time and have never paid interest on our Visa. We use our airline miles at least every 2 years. We have no debt and enjoy traveling with free miles. What do you say? Why do you say this is wrong? Because, Jim, it's very simple. Personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. And several different studies have confirmed that when you pay for things with plastic, you spend more than when you pay with cash.
Okay, so even though I said I don't agree with this, I do agree with it being way easier to spend more money with a credit card, a piece of plastic, compared to actually giving somebody cash in hand, and that a lot of people's issue is their financial behavior, right? They take it too far because maybe they're getting 2% cash back or maybe 5% at restaurants this month, so they end up going out to eat way more than they should, racking up more debt than they would have, and then possibly snowballing into a way worse situation. But overall, if you do have that kind of discipline, you're leaving free money on the table. The cash back, the miles for traveling, points on any of these credit cards all end up being free at the end of the day because you were still going to spend money in the first place. So I mean, again, if you do have the discipline, I feel like it's a no-brainer. I do understand why Dave Ramsey doesn't like it because there's a lot of people who take it too far, but I'm personally still going to be using my credit cards for everything and paying it off in full.
I'd like to say that I'm just smart enough to understand markets, but just stupid enough to think that I can make money doing it.
Based on your tone, it sounds like you have not made money doing it, or you at least have lost money since then.
So I started investing about 5 years ago, and it's been a slow trickle stream of trying my best to learn markets, get in and out, and pay for courses even.
Well, when you say, let's make sure we're clear. Investing is a very different game. What you've been doing is gambling and speculation.
It would be very difficult for me to argue with you.
Okay. I'm not trying to dog on you. I just want to make it clear for everyone listening because they think, like you, that, hey, I'm investing.
I'd say that the core of the issue is that as much as I love paying off debt and the idea of paying it off, when I get started paying it off, I always have this thought, well, you know, if I just took this money I'm going to use to pay this credit card and invested it, I could probably double it.
How much money have you spent on this addiction?
Probably about $70,000.
Wow.
So that's somebody with a gambling addiction masking it in the veil of investing. He's been on Wall Street Bets a few too many times, and maybe he does have a decent amount of knowledge in the markets, but clearly it's not working out for him, being in the whole 70 grand. But as we see in almost every one of the comment sections when we're talking about gambling, nobody takes it seriously. This guy's my liquidity. Wait, day trading and investing are the same thing? Thanks for the liquidity again. So he doesn't understand the markets then if he's not making money. You only lose when you quit. Don't give up, little bro. And then we could take a look at the same situation a step further.
Stupidly, I took on day trading, and I made like $120,000 in 3 months, but I took out a $60,000 loan to get that. Long story short, I ended up losing the money, and then I took out another loan to try and make it back and lost it too. So now I owe like $6,200 a month in expenses, and I make like $4,000, and I'm about to lose my job because I can't afford a delivery vehicle to deliver out of because it's part of the contract. And I'm freaking out. My girlfriend cheated on me, and I feel like I'm going to lose her, and I feel like a lame excuse for a man. And I just don't know what to do anymore.
So unfortunately, that's when things start spiraling out of control. Wouldn't be surprised if he saw one of the influencers peddling how much money he was making day trading and got a taste of that feeling, making $120,000 very quickly, but he really should have quit while he was ahead, even though a vast majority of people don't do that. They just put more and more money in. And now his loans and expenses outweigh the money that he makes at his work. On top of his girlfriend cheating on him, his life is pretty rough right now. And if you watch videos on my channel, you know how big of a hater I am of gambling, sports betting, anything like that. So we'll just take a look at this last clip and we'll move on.
How do I manage my husband's finances? He told me 2 weeks ago that he has a gambling addiction, and how do I protect myself? We both have separate bank accounts, and we've been together for 11 years, so I've been wanting to merge our finances a bit more together, but he was very reluctant. And now he has lost millions of dollars in the last 10 years.
Lost millions as in he had millions and then he lost it?
So he
Or is he in debt because of this?
No, a bit of both. He has an annual revenue of $1.3 million. He's a specialist, so he makes good money. I calculated he owes about $1.1 million that I have to pay, or he has to pay in the next year or so, in order to make sure that we don't get into trouble.
So he is in debt to it. Are they people or are they reputable?
No. So it is past due taxes.
The amount of people who don't pay their taxes is unreal to me. This person's making life-changing amounts of money yearly, and it seems like he even knows that his gambling addiction is so bad that he didn't want to merge his finances with his wife, but still decides to keep doing it anyway. I feel like this goes really well with a comment from one of you guys. I hate seeing people make life-changing money and screw it up. It makes me mad. If you're making legitimately over $1 million a year, what's the point of gambling? How much money do you really need at the end of the day? Because isn't that the goal of gambling, to be able to win more money? But you making over $100,000 a month would lead to a pretty nice life. I know I talk about gambling and day trading all the time and how much I hate it, but when there's stories like this, example after example online, what else do you want me to do?
I'm currently in $2.3 million in debt, and I don't even know where to start to try picking up the pieces and moving forward.
Who gave you $2 million in debt?
It's actually a combination of business debt from a business that we had to close, medical debt. We actually had 2 medical emergencies happen within days of each other.
And now you're on the hook for how much total in medical debt?
Her medical debt is, I haven't gotten any of the stuff on this surgery, but thankfully insurance covers the majority of it. Probably about $400,000 for just her stuff.
How much is the business debt out of the 2.3?
1.8 plus about another 100, so about 1.9 million.
Okay, so this is a very long story that many things were out of their control, right? The medical emergencies obviously were not planned, and with how ridiculous the health system is in the US, that turns into $400,000, but that still is a small piece of the pie when we're talking about $1.9 million in business debt. It sounded like there were a whole bunch of issues. They had a house fire, they signed a lease with their landlord for their business, and it seemed like there were a ton of problems with that. But I wanted to include this video because most of the examples that we go over on this channel is a result of many people's poor financial decisions. But things could still pop up out of nowhere, very bad luck, and somehow turn into $2 million worth of debt. This one really does leave me speechless. So keeping on the topic of small businesses, I wanted to put this next example in because I personally have been on a kitchen nightmares kick. They have their own YouTube channel putting up full episodes for anybody to watch. And now I personally do not have a passion in cooking, but it's starting to look more and more unlikely for someone to be very successful in that niche.
The number one way to go broke is open a restaurant. It's like freaking guaranteed.
He wants to quit his job and open a restaurant, which has been his lifelong dream. He has done no research and has not created a business plan. His idea is for us to sell our fully paid for home, of about $500,000 and live in an apartment, so he can purchase a restaurant, oh geez, I don't even know if I can get through this. In the meantime, he wants me to keep my job, so we'll have one steady income of $85,000 a year. I could see putting all of our money into this venture and end up losing everything. How do I convince him it's a bad idea? You have a vote, too. This is your life as well. And
you're on the deed of that house, so don't sign it. She's exactly right. Number one, you need a business plan. Number two, you would need some experience in the freaking restaurant business.
Which is hard.
Before you do that. Number three, you need to understand that you're taking on the category of small business that has the highest rate of failure of all small businesses.
Okay, so I get it. If you truly have a passion and you really want to open up a restaurant, at least do some research instead of trying to uproot your entire life, including your family, selling everything that you own to immediately jump into the deep end in a business that has a very high likelihood of failure. This particular example seems like an almost guaranteed open and shut case that he will not be successful in this venture. It almost seems like more of an emotional response instead of a well thought out plan. We could take a look at some of the comments. Even the busiest restaurants in my town still went broke. I'd get him a used food truck for $20,000. He'll get over being a restaurateur. We opened a Subway, so they franchised it and lost everything. Had to file bankruptcy. Just sounds like something that I do not want to be a part of whatsoever.
I'm currently living in hotels. I can't seem to find an apartment. What should I do?
You can't seem to find an apartment. Why?
My credit score is abysmal.
Are you working?
Yes.
What do you make?
Full-time.
What do you make?
$87,000 a year.
$87,000 a year.
Yes.
Good for you. What do you do?
I'm an occupational therapist.
How'd you end up homeless?
Well, I moved from state to state for love and a relationship, and that did not work out. My only real option at the time was to find a hotel for temporary housing.
Do you have any money now?
No, because I'm basically spending $2,200 a month just to keep a roof over my head.
Yeah, but you make $87,000.
So I have a car lease about $340 a month, and I have my student loan debt. It's about $1,000 a month.
Have you been paying it?
No.
Marie, I'm struggling. Okay, you've not paid that. You paid a $300 payment. You make $87,000, and you paid a hotel bill. That's all you've done. Where is all your money going, kiddo?
Eating out. I only have a microwave here, so I can't really cook.
Okay, so there's even more to this clip, but it kind of sounds like another person's life spiraling out of control. I know this particular situation is becoming a bit more common in today's world because so many people are meeting online, and that's what it really sounds like to me happened with this woman, taking everything that you got and moving to another state for love and it not working out. Because it is way different speaking to somebody face to face instead of a dating app or text messages, whatever it was. And unfortunately, that turns into living in a hotel paying thousands of dollars a month and not really knowing what's going to happen next. That's rough.
I won one of those multi-state lottery drawings with a group of coworkers. I haven't told anyone, besides my wife and besides one sibling. No one knows. And
how much?
My question for you, after taxes, it was about $22 million.
Holy crap!
Wow! Holy crap is the understatement of the century. Yeah.
How old are you?
It was a lot. I'm edging up on about 50 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you haven't told anyone, and I've got some guesses, but why?
Well, the first thing I did when I found out that I won was research, and it said that you get to read all those 1 in 5 people lose their lottery winnings or go bankrupt within 10 years, and one of the things they all said was, you tell too many people and you get too many people at your door asking for this, that, and the other thing, asking for handouts and expecting you to pay for everything. So my wife and I made a conscious decision just to kind of keep it under wraps.
So I wanted to put this clip in not because I think that there are a ton of people watching who won the lottery, but especially in today's world of social media, maybe if you do start becoming more successful, getting a pay raise, climbing up the ladder, making good money, many people's first thought is to flaunt it in front of everybody else. You immediately go out and get a nice brand new Mercedes or some sort of sports car, all the designer clothes, going on vacation, putting it up on Instagram, and in my opinion, it almost puts a target on your back now. account. So if you are currently doing well, even in this climate, I would definitely try to keep it under wraps as much as possible. And goes with a comment from one of you guys. I'm 40 and I wish I told this to my younger self. It's better to look poor and be rich than look rich and be poor. Because just like the statistics with all the lottery winners, there's a large percentage of them that even if they win millions or tens of millions of dollars, they end up blowing through all of it and being right back at square one.
I'm just recently divorced. I make $96,000 after taxes. I'm about $105,000 in debt at the current moment. A large majority of that debt is a $52,000 vehicle that I have. That vehicle is currently at a trade-in value of $12,000.
Do you roll negative equity?
Yeah,
what happened?
It's an electric vehicle.
What kind of car is this? Just to warn people.
A Kia EV6.
Kia. Okay, you got a Kia, and you bought it for how much?
$62,000.
And it's worth $20,000 now? I'm confused. When did you buy it?
You're not. Well, you can be confused. It's crazy. I bought it back in 22.
And in 2 years, the value dropped by like 60-something%?
Yes. I've taken it to about 3 different dealerships. When they ran it, they're like, how did this happen?
Did you have high mileage on it? Does it have issues, wear and tear?
Nope, everything is perfectly fine with it. I have about 30,000 miles on it. There's no damage to the vehicle.
There's only 30,000 miles on it?
So this is one of the vehicles in the recent wave of just new EVs from every single manufacturer you could think of. And unfortunately, this guy is getting killed with the depreciation from a Kia EV. I honestly had to look it up, and apparently he got the EV GT because that kicks off at $63,000. $60,000 for a Kia. That's crazy. It went from $62,000 down to either $22,000 or $12,000 in just a couple years. I mean, if you're really into EVs that much, I would honestly just stick to most likely Tesla. We all probably know now that the entire EV market has taken a pretty big hit, especially used vehicles over the past year or so. And Tesla's one of the only brands to keep their value, at least somewhat. I still know that you could get them relatively cheap on the secondhand market, but any of the manufacturers who basically started making EVs because they saw how much Tesla was making, like the Kias, I would just 100% stay away from, because the depreciation will be brutal like this guy. We can look at some of the comments. Look up the Kia EV6 GT. Market value is at $61,000. So that's definitely what he got. Go to Kelley Blue Book and add 1,000 miles to get the drive off the lot value. Then the value goes to $35,000. Exactly 50% loss as soon as you leave. I'll stick to my Hondas. I'm not somebody who's just a EV hater. I'd like to have one maybe in the future. Hopefully if the range starts getting, amazing, you get 1,000 miles off of a battery just blowing out of the water normal gas vehicles. But right now, to me, it doesn't really seem like the time to buy, especially brand new, because you could take a significant loss and be heavily underwater if you do want to trade it in for another vehicle down the road. Here we have one that's almost unbelievable. I would think that this is scripted because of how ridiculous this call-in was, so I just had to put it in.
My husband and I didn't know we needed to file taxes, and we currently owe the IRS $600,000.
Good Lord, how did that happen?
Yes. We just thought that they filed themselves, to be honest. And we both are self-employed. So we just thought it was deducted out of our pay already. So
for how many years?
It's been about 10 years.
So you finally started filing, and then you end up with try to stay out of jail. Because not filing is criminal, and so you go and file, and now they give you the total, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but no one really told us that, we had to keep money aside for taxes. So I just don't really see how it's our fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea why Dave Ramsey would be sorry. How would you think everybody around you who had a normal 9-to-5 has to pay taxes, but you don't for 10 years? I don't even understand how you would get into the self-employment space and you didn't read up or somebody tell you anything about having to file your own taxes because you are your own boss. This is even worse than some of the Caleb guests we've seen not paying taxes because they won't do it for a couple years because they didn't really have money, or it really wasn't that bad. Maybe it was like a few $1,000s they were behind, but 10 years? Adding on top of it, calling into this show and then at the end saying that it's not our fault. We didn't know, so we shouldn't get in trouble. Some of the way people think in this world just baffles me because, I mean, we have a comment from one of you guys. Even the Joker files his taxes. Everyone knows he's not going to mess with the IRS. You get in trouble not paying your bills, your loans, car payments, go to collections, tank your credit, even file for bankruptcy, but the IRS will get their money back. They will garnish your wages. They will follow you until you die. But I just had to put that clip in because I thought it was way worse than any of the other people we've seen who didn't pay their taxes.
Just recently graduated from residency to become an orthodontist, and I have student loans that total just over $1 million.
You're kidding me.
And no, sir.
What were you thinking?
Well, I wasn't thinking clearly. So I've sat down and calculated my interest rates, and my interest is about $5,800 a month. So my fiance and I were trying to decide what's the best way to try to attack this. If we were this first year able to pay $10,000 a month.
So here we have an orthodontist with $1 million in student debt. We've seen that the average amount of debt start to finish from the beginning of college all the way through dental school when you're completely done is about $300,000 to $400,000. So more than doubling that. What did you do? So this is somebody who would be making good money in most people's eyes, $120,000 a year. Literally more than 50% of that income is going just to interest because of how brutal the student loans are. I'll pull this up on screen. I know many people's arguments is that they could have very good salaries. Here we could see in 2023, the median salary was almost $240,000, $20,000 a month. However, he's bringing in half of that, which the lowest, 25%, is $132,000. So he's definitely not up there with the almost $250,000 a year. I would venture to guess that's somebody who's been in the business for a number of years. But of course, that takes time going through college and then dental school. So that takes a number of years off of your potential earnings because you're getting that degree. And then when it's all said and done and you actually start working, you have to again rise up that totem pole, which takes even more time. Definitely makes it harder to save more money when you have $5,700 of interest going out every single month. So I mean, to finally break even and actually start making the $239,000 a year would take quite a bit of time.
My wife and I, we have quite a bit of debt. And so I was wondering how we should start working through that. We have about $150 in car loans and about $280 in student loans. We have quite a bit in home equity. So I was curious, is that something that would be on the table to sell our house and just basically wipe it all out in one fell swoop? Or should we work our way through that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Adam, how much do you guys make a year?
Net combined about $330.
For the home, how much do you owe on it? How much is left on the mortgage?
About $385.
Okay, and how much would it sell for?
Probably near $8.
Okay.
And why do you have $150,000 in cars?
That's exactly why I wanted to put this in the video. The amount of money that they make both in home equity and just income, and they still have that much debt, but you know exactly why they have $150,000 in cars. They immediately see all that equity as if it's in their bank account. You only get that money if you take out a loan or sell the house, and wanting to live that lifestyle because they make $300,000+ a year. However, they're still in a ton of debt, almost $300,000 still with student loans, and the $150 combined on the cars probably means that it was even higher. I highly doubt that they bought 2 brand new cars totaling up to $150. So in all, the vehicles that they own are probably even more expensive. But I've said it a million times, maybe you do finally start making that kind of income, crazy amount of money like $300K, but that lifestyle creep really could start doing a number on your finances and could honestly be even worse than like maybe maxing out your credit cards that go to like $10K. And that's how you go into $430,000 in debt while you're still making $330,000 a year. So, unbelievable. And one of the comments from this video, managing money is more important than making money. Can't agree with that more, because if you start seeing those bi-weekly checks rolling in with those giant numbers, but you're not good with actually managing that money coming in, that's when some people start swiping the credit cards and buying anything and everything that they want. But we have a comment from you guys, going over couples' frivolous finances is the new Jerry Springer. I know a lot of people get entertainment from this, but hopefully it could open some people's eyes and help if you don't really have too much financial knowledge, and see what the results could be with your life if you don't take financial responsibility seriously.
My wife and I are in a bit of a pickle. We got invited to a wedding out of the country, and actually my wife was asked to be in the wedding.
Ooh, where?
It's in Italy.
Ah,
I love that.
Always. Oh my goodness. How much debt do you guys have?
We have about 97,000 left. I would say, I mean, they've been best friends for the last 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't say since they grew up together. Like, they didn't grow up together.
Is she the maid of honor?
No.
Okay, so she's not the maid of honor, which means she ain't the best friend, unless the girl has a sister.
It does matter in this.
It does matter. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to shoot you straight here, because I don't think that you guys can afford a trip to Italy, and I don't think that you can afford all of the things that goes along with being a bridesmaid, because in 2023, these bridesmaid prices have gone through the roof.
Yeah, what are we talking about? Do we have a price tag? I'm curious, Nick.
It's the parties, it's everything. So what do you think it's going to cost?
I priced out to about 6,000. That's if we just did the 4 days.
So the comment section is just people arguing back and forth. But I wanted to say, if you were going to have a destination wedding, you have to know how much of a burden that is for everybody else. Unless you want something unbelievably small, maybe just both of the parents, super immediate family, not just random friends or possibly best friends. I don't think she even was. Flying all the way to Italy, like they said, that costs $6,000 for just 4 days when they're already in almost 6 figures worth of debt. You can't really swing it. But then everybody in the comment section back and forth, we could just take a look at some of them. If you're having a destination wedding, you should be prepared for even your closest friends to say they cannot attend. That's what I was saying, and not hold that against them. Putting a financial burden on friends also. And there's another one. As a wife, I'd be resentful that I didn't get my honeymoon and also didn't get to be in my best friend's wedding. Well, she wasn't a best friend, and you're also still in $100,000 worth of debt. I don't think that debt just came out of nowhere. But again, we're living in the modern world where people want everything now, and they want to live above their means because they probably saw their favorite influencer get married in Italy, and oh, it'd be so much fun to go there. And then people wonder why they're in debt for the rest of their lives.
I have 35 credit cards, and I owe $19,000 in them. $30,000 school loan, which I have not paid, and we take home $60,000. I wanted to pay off some credit cards, but every week it just seems that I'm paying something. Like all minimums is just living paycheck by paycheck.
Check comes in, all the money goes out, and then you're broke and you can't figure out how to go to the grocery store.
Yes, exactly.
You're not living by any kind of plan. This money is owning you. You don't own it.
Yes.
And you got to get the other side of it, and the budget helps you do that. You're telling your money what to do instead of wondering where it went.
Okay.
And then you and your husband are in agreement. We're going to sacrifice deeply because I am so sick of living like this.
Yes, definitely.
I have to admit, though, 35 credit cards and only $19,000 worth of debt? Why even have that many cards then? The limits must be so small, and I guess she just opened them up non-stop. I don't even know what you do with 35 credit cards, man. But another person who just doesn't really know how to budget at all and really has to change their life to be able to get out of that debt. She also had $30,000 worth of student loans. But I mean, being very meticulous and actually realizing everything that goes in and out instead of just making the minimum payments like she said on all the cards would help you see what's actually draining the extra money coming in every single month. We could look at some of the comments though. With 35 credit cards, I was expecting way worse, to be honest. Yeah, me too, because we see the credit card debt videos. Somebody will have maybe like 6 or 7 and they'll be in tons. I mean, more than double. There'll be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 we've seen. So having 35 credit cards, I thought we were going to hear an ungodly number. 35 is absolutely insane. I only have 34. We'll move on to just a small clip from one of the hosts of the Ramsey Show.
If you're married and you share a bed and you share genetics with little kids running around, you can share a bank account.
So I wanted to put this in because if you look at this screenshot, she's got 24,000 likes on it and 0 comments. I would assume she ended up getting blasted in the comments so heavily that she turned off the entire comment section. So this is one of the takes that I think varies greatly between the older generation, more of the Dave Ramsey boomers, and my generation, because marriage is a very different thing nowadays. Honestly, not really worth it, but we'll get to that in a second. But how many comments have I read from a previous video saying that I had to divorce my wife because she ended up spending all of my money wanting to be an Instagram influencer and fly around and take all these pictures even though they didn't have the means, absolutely destroying their lives. If you watch a lot of these clips, you've probably seen, I didn't put it in this video, but another Dave Ramsey caller ended up taking $25,000 of his and his wife's money in a joint bank account and spending it on Pokemon cards. There's way less financial responsibility in this world now, and that could even vary between partners now. So I personally don't agree with the joint bank accounts. Maybe you both have your own and a third account that is maybe joint, you know, paying the bills or something along the lines of that, because it seems easier now more than ever to have a joint account, spend all of your partner's money, and just divorce, because apparently that's the answer for everybody now.
What do you do when you can't pay the minimums?
So what are these payments? How many do you have?
There are several of them. They total up to $555,778.
$555,000?
Mm-hmm.
Is this all personal debt?
Personal, pretty much personal debt.
Does that include your mortgage?
No, that does not include our mortgage. And there's some land in there. There's credit cards.
What are the big chunks?
How did you get $500,000 into debt, Regina? What happened?
Just a little bit of everything. You know, you stop paying attention, and you just kind of keep going. You make good money, and you think that you're invincible, and one day you turn around, and that's where you are.
What's your household income?
200.
So this is the type of clip that I wanted to contrast with the unbelievable debt with somebody who thought they were invincible because they were making $200,000 a year. You would assume you'd be fine. You could pay for whatever you want. Not paying attention to the finances and the bills rack up. I don't know how over $500,000 does, but this is what could happen and be way worse than any of the other situations where they are $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in credit card debt. Try 10 times that, 11 times that. Their credit limit must be insane to have that much debt without getting some sort of call collections. I mean, huge issues if you're talking about $500,000 in debt. We could look at the comment section, but she would not admit what they actually bought. How do you not pay attention to $555,000? Just tell us what you bought, Regina. Either shopaholics or gamblers, or both. That's wild. She's embarrassed to say that she spent money on clothes, makeup, and stuff like that. Even that. How do you spend $500,000? I could say maybe $100,000, but just because you finally start making good income doesn't mean that all the debt will just magically go away. If anything, it could actually get way worse, because then you think you could buy that $1,000 or $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag and just start adding zeros to everything that you were initially purchasing if you had a reasonable, normal median income.
But I'm 59 and I do not have any money in retirement. I just recently sold my home and paid off almost all of my debt. So I was wondering what your advice would be. Instead of taking all of the money that I have and putting it into a home, I was thinking that maybe I should beef up an investment account.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I know that your steps say that's like borrowing money to invest.
Right.
But
okay. So how much debt do you have? How much debt do you currently have that you have not paid off?
Well, I have a lease that has 30 months remaining, and it's $400 a month.
Good Lord.
So,
okay.
But I just didn't think it would be wise to turn that over yet.
And do you have anything else?
In debt? No.
Okay.
I am cash flowing my daughter's college right now, and no other debt.
Okay, so this is one of the clips that I believe is one of my overarching messages on the channel entirely, because this is somebody getting very close to retirement age with virtually no money. Now, on top of it, with the no money in savings, which is a very dangerous thing going into old age, she's also paying for her daughter's college. I mean, I know, of course, that's what any parent would hope to want to do because it helps your child in the future. I mean, not have these crazy student loans. But if you're in this bad of a situation when you're calling Dave Ramsey to ask for help, you should probably get the daughter to pay for her own college. But with all these debt and finance videos that I make, most of the age of the people who watch my channel are 25 and older, but hopefully I could start gaining a little bit younger of an audience, 18 and up, so they could start learning as young as possible how important it is to save money and not get into debt. Start some sort of retirement account, Roth IRA, anything, because it's going to be much, much harder for our generation to retire compared to all the problems that the boomers are having right now. And unfortunately, many people are going to be like this woman, almost 60 years old, and have basically no money to their name. And you're not going to be able to retire, obviously. We can look at some of the comments from this video. This is scary, getting old and not having retirement. Lots of us are heading that way. The caller mentioned she was paying for her daughter's college. That should end today. That's what I was saying. If you have absolutely no money, especially if you're heading to the age where you can't really work anymore, it's not like you're lazy and you don't want to work. It's going to be even harder for you to make money. But another comment, I retired at 55 because as soon as I started working, I maxed out my retirement accounts. Again, in the modern world where everybody wants something immediately, it seems even less enticing to put money in your savings accounts for 20, 30, 40 years down the road. It's not nearly as cool as going on a cruise this summer. But unfortunately, many people are going to have to pay the price when we start getting up into that age. But hopefully my videos can change some people's minds.
So collectively, me and my wife are $460,000 in debt, in which $435,000 of it is student loan.
Who's the doctor? Who's the lawyer?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm a chiropractor.
You're a chiropractor. What did you pay for chiropractic school?
Chiropractic school was probably pretty close to probably $350.
And how many chiropractors make enough to justify anywhere near that? None?
Maybe 1%, like the upper 1%.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I do like the switch up on Dave Ramsey when he asks, who's a doctor? And he says he's a chiropractor. But I had to look it up because I have absolutely no knowledge. So the cost of being a chiropractor could be around $100,000 to well over $200,000 for schooling. Still, even that outrageous number, $350, almost doubling it right there. Same boat as the orthodontist with $1 million in student debt, even with the average of $300,000 or $400,000 in debt for most students. Way, way more than it should be. And then you get to the salary. The median salary is about $76,000. The lowest 10% only make about $40,000, and then the highest 10% is about $142,000. I mean, the caller even admitted the only people who make a ton of money are the top 1% of the practice. I bet it's probably those people you've seen that make those viral cracking videos with celebrities. Do you remember that like 6 months or a year ago? I haven't seen that in forever. Maybe the fad's over. But they'd be on that table that moves and they're like cracking everybody's back who's like just some random celebrity. They were very odd videos. I don't know why they got so many views. I bet those people made a ton of money, but $350,000 in student loans to be a chiropractor doesn't really seem worth it to me.
I have a mountain of debt and just wondering what the fastest way to pay it off would be. It's about a total of $850,000, and that's including mortgages.
Okay. Well, lay them out for me with the consumer debt first.
Okay, consumer debt first. So I've got $4,000 on an LOC. I've got a MasterCard with $24,000, a car with $21,000, a truck with $77,000, and then we've got my personal house, which has got a mortgage remaining of $550,000, and then a rental house with a remaining mortgage of $170,000, plus a HELOC on my personal house, which is about $190,000.
Holy goodness, you've been collecting this stuff, man. What is your income?
And not too proud about it. My household income is about 160 to 170,000.
Another one of these stories where the household income would make this family have a very nice life, and instead of it in total $800,000 worth of debt, I know that $550 is a house. So that means the house was unbelievably expensive even for their good income. Look at the comments. How does somebody with a $170,000 income get a loan for $1 million home? Like they said, just collecting debt, buying a truck for vacationing is so unreal to me. That's such an unnecessary expense. These videos are my therapy for my own debt that is absolute minute compared to some of these people's debt. Rent a truck when vacationing, so that $77,000 loan for the truck is just for vacations. It's possibly one of those Sprinter vans that are very popular right now. You renovate it so you can really live inside of it, but it's still a Mercedes van. Very, very expensive just to buy the van, let alone renovating it to vacation in. But that lifestyle creep is just too enticing for so many people. But we have the final clip here. I'm trying to end it off on a good note. Not everybody on the show is drowning in hundreds of thousands or $1 million+ worth of debt. At least we got one good story.
How much did you pay off?
$234,000.
Oh my gosh!
Oh! How long did this take?
31 months.
Look at you! I love it. And your range of income during that time?
74,000 to 275,000.
What?
Oh, what do you do for a living?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
So you went to travel nursing, huh?
I did not. I stayed as a nurse practitioner full time, and then I worked in the hospital as a nurse full time as well. And then I had another part time MP job.
So you were doing 80, 90 hours a week?
96.
Oh
to be
my
precise.
gosh, Candace. Okay.
You're a beast, girl. I love it. Wow.
That's pretty crazy. But from all the stuff we've seen on my channel with nurses not being too great with money, it's just a very common occurrence when we were looking at debt videos. This is the opposite. This is somebody who was able to pay all of that off being a nurse full time because, of course, they get a good income and almost $250,000 of debt paid off in under 3 years. I mean, clearly that took a lot of work, 96 hours. I don't think I'd be able to do that, honestly. So that amount of dedication is just unreal.
The reason we invest in crypto in the first place is obviously we are Christian and we do not gamble and don't think gambling is okay, but we felt like God showed us these 3 specific coins that we're invested in.
Like a crystal ball.
And we have just been waiting for the right time for him to show us when to sell, which is why we've been holding for 5 years through 2 bull runs.
Arabella, I'm upset with this. I'm upset that you're telling us this.
Really bad theology, Arabella.
Just right off the bat, the mental gymnastics saying that we're Christians and we don't gamble. God was the reason why we have these cryptocurrencies. Now, she didn't say what she was holding, but the way that she worded it made it sound like it was some sort of altcoin or meme coin, which I've made dedicated videos about. You're basically just gambling, hoping that you'll be able to pull out all of your money before it gets rug pulled, and then again saying the reason why they were doing this was because God told them to. So far, we've seen stories where somebody made a Jesus meme coin because of that reason. There were also examples of people praying for money to just appear out of thin air. I'm not trying to make fun of you if you're religious or not. I don't care either way. But putting your financial future at stake or justifying gambling in cryptocurrency in the hands of a higher power seems like an extremely dangerous game to me. And just mentioning cryptocurrency online, the entire space is so shady now that when you look at the comment section, it is full of bots with this random Diane Walter, some sort of grifter, from weakness to strength, from grass to grace, and from nothing to something at Diane Walter. I'm so lucky to work with someone who inspires me every day. Tons of comments like that. I mean, the whole thing is just a mess of a situation.
I was an idiot. I was in love with a man that convinced me to co-sign on a 2019 Jetta in the fall of 2021. I'm not in that relationship anymore. But anyway, last summer I convinced him to turn the vehicle back into the dealer, basically voluntarily repossess it. He could not pay the payment on time. And I was also helping him, and he made more than me.
How much money do you have?
Well, I'm on baby step 1. I'm just starting out.
You don't have any money.
I don't have any money. I have $3,000 in credit card debt that I have consumer credit.
What do you make?
$61,000 a year.
Okay. What was owed on the Jetta? Do you know?
$29,000 and change.
Okay. Let's say there's a $15,000 deficit when you're done, and they come to you as the co-signer, and they want $15,000. Well, the first thing you tell them is what you told me. I have no money.
So I think this one's pretty straightforward. Being a cosigner, whether it is your friend or family or significant other, can lead to things like this, especially if you end up breaking up or if you're not on the same page financially. And I guess one of the positives about this is that it's just a Jetta and not some big Mercedes SUV that's $90,000, but still 29 grand owed and a possible $15,000 deficit is still a significant amount of money. And she said that she didn't really have anything. These types of situations can set you back pretty significantly.
I bought a house a few years ago, and I discovered soon enough that it was a bit of a lemon. Since then, I've been sort of spending all of my time repairing this house and trying to get it up to market value in hopes to, rent it or sell it or do something with it that could be profitable.
How much is your mortgage payment?
It's $5,300 a month.
And what is your take-home pay, sir?
My take-home is about $7,700 a month.
Your mortgage payment is $5,000 and your take home is $7,000. How do you eat?
It's been tricky.
Are you running up credit card debt?
I don't have any consumer debt. No,
is there money somewhere else coming in or going out? How in the world? That's an impossible budget.
So this touches on a few issues with the housing market. First off, he ended up buying a house and then it immediately starts falling apart. Tons of repairs, the cost is crazy. We've seen many examples of that on this channel. And then the second part, overextending. $5,000 a month mortgage, which that in and of itself is just crazy to me. And then his take-home pay is $7,700 a month. Almost everything is going into that house. I really don't know how he doesn't have debt. Possible car payment, even if he has a paid off car, the insurance, any of the utility bills, the phone bill, internet as well, food prices on top of it. I have no idea how this guy's surviving. Some of the comments here, my question is, how did he get a mortgage in the first place? I wouldn't say we're at the same level of the 2008 financial crisis when people were getting loans for houses that they had absolutely no business getting, but we are creeping up to that because I've even looked up myself, wanting to see how much I would qualify for, and it was way higher than it should have actually been. That doesn't math, what bank allowed that, a lot of those types of comments. I honestly don't know how he would survive that situation other than selling the house. Hopefully he would make some sort of profit with it, but he said it was a lemon house. He's been doing a lot of repairs to get it to market value, basically in between a rock and a hard place.
I've been married to my husband for 30 years. He earns a six-figure salary, and I've been a stay-at-home mom. He wanted to manage our finances because working together stressed him out, and he didn't want to argue. I thought we lived a good life, but on a recent vacation, I overheard him checking account balances on our credit cards and became concerned. So I started quietly researching. I discovered he was tearing up financial documents and throwing them away so I couldn't see them. He has depleted 95% of a job buyout and taken loans on what little retirement savings he had, less than $100K. There's some significant deceit, whether it's an addiction, it's somebody else he's in love with, or he's got other pet projects he's trying to work through. This is not just to avoid confrontation. This is because he has a different life.
I mean, they think that he might be living a double life. I immediately think that he's keeping up the charade, keeping up with the Joneses, whatever you want to call it, saying that he made six figures. You don't have to do anything. You're a stay-at-home mom now. We'll go on vacation, have the perfect life that everybody wants. And maybe at the beginning he could swing all of this, but business goes up and down, whether you're self-employed or working at a corporation, maybe getting laid off. And he's just scrambling to try to keep that life that they can't afford. I mean, a depleted 95% of a buyout, taking out personal loans. I mean, the guy is cooked. All to make it look like they have a nice, perfect, happy life to other people. We have a comment from one of you guys. I'm so happy to be married with someone who's on the same page as me when it comes to finances. Probably one of the most important decisions when it comes to your life overall for several reasons. But if you're a heavy saver and your partner is a heavy spender, there are going to be a lot of problems down the road and it probably won't end well. But up next, we have one of the examples where this couple is making way more money than the average, should be living a very nice, comfortable life, but they end up having virtually no money to their name.
I recently started working. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse now for 2 years, and I really didn't have any credit card debt. And then as soon as I started working, I started spending, and now we're about $55,000 in credit card debt, and I don't know how to get out of it. Both my husband and I make a decent amount of money, and we just need to figure out the right way to go about it.
Do you still have the credit card?
Yes, I still have them. I lock them all, and I'm trying to pay them all off, every month, but it just doesn't seem to be going very far.
What's your household income?
I make about $100, and my husband makes about $250. $230, $250. It ranges with his overtime.
Okay, so you're making $350 household. What caused you to go, we don't have enough money? Out of $350,000, I need to go $55,000 in credit card debt. What caused that?
Well, I guess every month we're down to like 50 cents of left in our account, and we're trying. We don't.
Where is $30,000 going every month, even in New York City?
Just from her voice, I knew they were from the Northeast. It sounded like another situation keeping up with the Joneses. This clip goes on for a while, and she never really gives an explanation, because at $300,000 or $350,000 a year, how can you not pay off a $55,000 credit card? She would also try to make it sound like they weren't spending that much money every month, so I guess it was just disappearing. I don't know, we've seen situations like this where they'll call into Dave Ramsey, these financial shows, asking for help, but then not telling the entire story. So clearly you're not actually serious about fixing the situation, and overall they're just going to be stuck in their ways. We can look at a couple of the comments. She's leaving something out. How do you go from a $3,000 mortgage to $7,000 household expenses? None of the things she was rattling off with the prices made sense compared to the amount of income. Someone in the relationship is supporting another person. Something isn't adding up. It could be something like that. My guess is that they are just spending way more than they should. Goes along with a comment from one of you guys. We think we have an income problem, but really we have a spending problem. I think one of the perfect examples of this, if you look up overconsumption versus underconsumption, many of the clips of underconsumption core is honestly just normal consuming. We're just so hardwired to want more and more. Whenever there's a new item, new piece of tech that comes out every year, every 6 months, you do that for years and then decades, that just becomes how you think. Way more money gets siphoned out of your bank account because of that all the time, buying little things that you really don't need, and then you find yourself paycheck to paycheck, barely surviving.
I am about $130,000 in debt.
On what?
And a lot of it is, the majority is my truck and my wife's car.
Which is how much each?
The truck is $40,000, and the wife's car is at $15,000.
Go ahead.
It's only $30,000 a year right now.
You said $30,000?
What?
Yes.
Your income is $30K?
Yes. I quit my business because I was going through a struggle for a short period of time, and I decided that I'm just going to quit, go for a job, and it didn't work out. So I started a new company.
Until your business is making you enough money to float your lifestyle, it's really just a hobby or a side hustle. And I commend you for starting that business, but it's not making enough money to manage your household bills, obviously.
So this goes into some of those clips if you ever looked up on TikTok, just quit your normal 9-to-5, start a business. You'll be much happier and be able to make a lot more money. Maybe that is the case for some people, but in this example, it's not working out, at least now. Only $30,000 a year while driving around in a $40,000 truck and another $15,000 loan on top of it. So I'm not trying to belittle or stop anybody from starting their own business. My best advice is to start something while you already have a possible normal 9-to-5 job or part-time job, something with at least a bit of steady income, instead of jumping into the deep end and hoping you'll float and survive and pay all the monthly bills. Some of the comments, I don't know why people call with issues like this. If you don't want to be in debt, sell the cars. Why do you need someone to tell you this? Step 1, sell both cars and get the cheapest, reliable one. Another comment from one of you guys, $1,000 is not a lot of money to have, but is a lot of money to owe. And I definitely think that resonates with many people in today's world. $1,000 will disappear almost instantly on expenses, but when you start owing that kind of money to credit cards, to car payments, especially when we're talking about interest, it gets out of hand very quickly.
So my parents asked me for $40,000 to $50,000 for a down payment for a second home.
Oh God, no! Don't do that.
Okay, well, can Michael finish his question?
Okay, go ahead.
So they currently live about 10 hours away from the rest of us siblings, and they don't have the down payment for that home. The reason for them not being able to move and be closer to us is my father is waiting to finish 5 more years at his job to collect a pension, and they're wanting to have the flexibility to be closer, but to have their own place. I'm 25 years old, just got out of my own debt, and I'm really unsure what to do.
So what they're asking you is a couple of things. They've created a set of principles for their life. We're going to stay here for 5 more years. We don't want to be uncomfortable when we travel. We want to have our own place. Problem is they're grown adults, but they can't afford these principles they've put into motion. So they come to their 25-year-old child and said, you make our dreams that we can't afford, you make our principles concrete because we can't.
Right.
And it's not your job. And by the way, this will mess up your relationship. I would tell you there's a financial reason to not do this, but the main thing is, dude, it will mess up your relationship with your dad.
And I definitely agree with that. Mixing finances with your family can be very bad. I also think it's pretty dangerous to start up a business with a family member if you're not on the exact same financial page. Even if the business becomes successful, maybe one person wants to take it in one direction and you want to take it in the other, and everything starts to implode from there. And I mean, having your parents ask you for a $50,000 loan when you're 25 years old and just got out of your own debt really seems like a fast way to open up a rift in the family. We can look at some of the comments. What kind of parents would even think of asking this? Asking a 25-year-old child for that much money is wild. Dad should be ashamed. And another comment from one of you guys that goes well with this. With lending to a family, the general rule that I use, if you're going to loan money to a family or friend, then do it assuming you're never going to get paid back at all, and only give them an amount that you feel comfortable with never seeing again. Because if you constantly have to ask your uncle or your cousin for the couple $100 or couple $1,000 that they borrowed from you, it's almost guaranteed to start problems with whoever it is, and in the end does not seem worth it for the headache.
I am $230,000 in debt. With me and my husband aren't. I go see my family twice a year in Texas, and I feel guilty if I do because I'm trying to pay off my debt, but I feel guilty if I don't because my kids want to see my family. We put a lot towards our debt every month. We put between $2,000 to $5,000 towards it every month. So is it okay that I go see them?
How much money are you guys spending on these trips?
Like $1,000.
$1,000? And you're doing that twice a year. So we're talking $2,000 to $3,000 a year. So yes, I think it's one of these things. If you and your husband agree that $2,000 a year is going to put us back, 2 months probably in a debt payoff in general. And how much are you guys making a year?
My husband makes between $15,000 and $20,000 a month.
Why can you only put $2,000 a month towards your debt? Now I'm mad. Why do you guys have $15,000 of expenses every month?
Well, we have a pretty high mortgage, and then my son is in school.
How much is the mortgage a month?
$3,500 a month.
And how much is the school a month?
$1,500 a month.
So there's $10,000 left.
You're so lucky Rachel Cruz is here to be good cop. I'm just telling you right now, call me back when you're serious and you actually want to get out of this mess. I mean, you guys make $250,000 a year. Do you understand how insane this is?
Another one of the situations where they're not serious about actually getting out of debt because they're basically hiding whatever's actually happening in this situation. $15,000 to $20,000 a month, and even with the mortgage and the private school, you still have at least 5 figures a month coming in. So overall, something else has to be happening in the background because even with the high cost of living that everybody's dealing with now, $250,000 a year, you should be pretty comfortable.
Normal in America is broke. 78% of Americans have too much month left at the end of the money. They spend everything they make and then some every month. That's 8 out of 10 houses on your street are broke. You ever drive down a middle-class street and they got upper-class cars in the driveway? Tells you there's a problem. You can just count the payments is what you're doing.
And every few months when I make a new credit card debt video, I'll look at the new statistics and the credit card debt goes up again. The total debt per person in the country goes up as well. But it seems like whenever you drive anywhere, people have $80,000 Grand Wagoneers and the new GLS and the Suburbans and the Escalades and the McMansion houses, the new construction builds that are still wildly overpriced. And then people are surprised when almost 8 out of 10 people are basically broke. Some of the comments here: why don't schools teach basic finance? US schools are broken. And I've talked about my own experiences in high school. I did not have finance classes. Everything that I know today, I've learned through YouTube videos, looking it up online, the internet. So I mean, if you truly want to get serious about your finances, hopefully these types of videos help you, whether it's my channel or looking it up on TikTok, any of the other YouTubers. But even if you didn't learn a thing about finances while you were in school, almost anything that you want to know about the subject is at the tip of your fingers now. We are all connected to the internet.
When you spend cash, you're more aware of your spending. Here's an example. You go out to eat. When you're paying cash and you lay a $100 bill in that little black tray, Uncle Ben's coffin, you know it's his coffin because he ain't coming back. But when you send that plastic out, guess what comes back? The plastic. And you have a tendency to spend more on alcohol, more on desserts, and pick up the other person's tab at the restaurant when you are paying with plastic than when you're paying with cash.
I think that this could really be applied to almost anything. I know it's very rare for people to pay in cash now. Barely anybody walks around with cash. It's all credit cards or Apple Pay, and it has become much easier to spend a lot more money because you just swipe a credit card instead of handing them all of the bills. In the end, the same amount of money is taken out of your bank account, but it's much easier to spend an enormous amount of money on a credit card compared to spending that same amount of money in cash. Now we have a couple comments from this clip that go back and forth. You can't spend your entire lifetime thinking about money. Pay your bills and enjoy, which I understand, but is almost always taken too far, where people don't care enough about their finances. Here's a reply from someone else. Until you look at your bank account and don't get paid for another 2 weeks. Actually, you can and will spend your life thinking about money, either thinking how to be responsible with money or thinking about how to get money because of the irresponsibility with money. I know obsessing over finances and money can be a very bad thing in the long run, but on the flip side of it, if you're spending willy-nilly, whenever you feel like it, impulse buying, not saving enough for retirement or the future at all, you're basically guaranteeing yourself to be in a bad situation.
Honored to speak with you. How can we help?
So I just see a lot of people my age or younger bragging and boasting about their nice cars, houses, and vacations. And I just feel like I'm losing at life. I live a pretty humble lifestyle, but what am I doing wrong? How do I afford this?
You said people your age. What is your age?
I'm 33.
This is the problem that the millennial, your generation, was one of the first ones to really, really struggle with it. It used to be that we would say, don't keep up with the Joneses. Have you ever heard that old saying?
Of course.
Yeah. But the problem was in those days, it wasn't as hard to keep up with the Joneses because they lived next door, and you saw them drive in their car, but you also saw them have a big fight. And you also knew that their kids were messed up, and you knew this and you knew that. So, when they got a car, it wasn't as big a deal because you kind of knew some of the dirt too, right? But on social media, your only thing you're looking at is the highlight reel.
I mean, that is dead accurate, honestly. How many different examples have we seen of some influencer, some celebrity, looking like they have the perfect life online, and then you find out they filed for bankruptcy? Or behind the camera, their entire family's falling apart. They hated each other. But they're never going to post that kind of stuff online. It's only going to be positive. You see that for a long enough period of time, 10, 15 years now, of solid social media consumption will make you think that you have to be on the level of them at the same period of your life as well. It's just not the reality of the world and even the people you look at online. Some of the comments, they're living in debt. I was a loan officer at a bank for 5 years, and I can assure you the people living lavishly are soaring with debt. And I could agree with that. I've made several videos with the same type of points.
About 2 years ago when my son was first born, I got into a really horrible financial decision. I got a car for my wife because we needed 2 vehicles. I was working out of town. And when I say I have a horrible interest rate, it's horrible. It's 22%. It was a stupid decision. I'm debating on either doing a voluntary repossession. It's not that I can't afford the vehicle, but it's just I've had the vehicle 2 years, and $2,000 has been paid towards the principal with $500 a month payments. Another thing being said, I did recently get approved to get it refinanced at a lower interest rate. Still not great, but it's at 13%.
I'll take it.
So I'm basically asking if I should refinance it or just go ahead and do a voluntary repossession.
Why can't you sell it? How far underwater are you?
It's pretty bad. The vehicle's worth $7,500 and I owe about $18,200.
Okay, so there was a lot there. 22% interest rate is a credit card. Of course, the refinance down to 13% is better, but still pretty bad. Being underwater, $11,000, so you can't sell it, and a $500 a month payment with only $2,000 going to principal so far. The comment section really isn't that great for other people's experiences too, but the first one, bro took a 22% interest rate on a $7,500 car. Mine is 18% and I'm a first-time buyer. My car was 21% when I was a first-time buyer. I thought I got a bad deal when I bought my Civic at I believe 7 or 8%, but I guess in comparison it wasn't really that bad.
What's the total debt, Katie?
Including mortgages?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
About $4.5 million.
Okay. And how much is the mortgage on your home?
Our mortgage is we owe $480 on the house, plus the second mortgage, which is $400, so about $880.
What's the house worth?
Probably 1.1.
Okay. What's the mortgage on the warehouse?
The mortgage on the warehouse, we owe about 3.3 on it, and the monthly payment on that is about $26,000.
And what's it worth?
4.1, 4.2.
Okay. What other debt is there other than these two?
There's credit card debt, which totals about $120,000. There's a personal loan from my parents, which is $115,000. There is the property tax, which is about $100,000. There are our ridiculous cars, which are $140,000.
Are they on the market for sale?
No.
They need to be today.
I feel like this whole clip is just above my tax bracket because I think $4.5 million is the highest we've ever seen on this channel. Now, I know it is a different kind of debt. They had some sort of warehouse and houses to go along with it, but still, 6 figures in credit card debt, 6-figure personal loan, the extravagant cars on top of it. I just don't know how these people would sleep at night. The amount of anxiety that I would have 24/7, I would barely be able to function.
Jade, between you and Sam, how many student loans do you guys have?
280,000. Too much.
I had 36,000, and I thought I'll never pay this off.
Yeah, terrible. It really is a trap, and it really does hold you back. I mean, we're seeing it in society, George. You're absolutely right. This is what's keeping people from having children. This is what's keeping people from buying their first home. It's what's making a lot of people feel trapped. And so if you can help your kids avoid that altogether, they're getting a head start in life.
Absolutely.
If you can do that one thing, you have given them a leg up in society.
Then they go, oh, we can actually afford a house one day.
Yes.
Because we're not going to spend the next 5 years trying to clean up a mess.
That's right. That's right. And now, on the other side of that, if you do have student loans, there's still hope for you. You can get out of them. But I'm just saying.
It's going to stunt your financial growth.
That's right. There's one situation that is clearly better than the other. If I could go back in time, I wish it were different.
You'd be in a different place. But you cleaned it up. I cleaned it up. It's possible. But, you know, we can be the preventative medicine for our kids instead of the emergency surgery.
That's right.
So I think at the current time of uploading this video, there are many people who are being forced to pay back their student loans now, which could easily go into the 6 figures. I mean, she had 280, and I mean, they said it best. It will hinder your finances, buying a house, having children, and almost every example that I hear from somebody older who already finished college saying, I wish I could go back and do something different. Go to a community college for the first couple years, or go to a much cheaper 4-year university. But to finish off this video, I'm going to end on a positive note with a clip and a comment from one of you guys. 10 years ago, I was young in my early 20s with probably $40,000 in debt between a car and credit cards. One day I said no more and decided to work hard to pay it off. Today I have close to a 7-figure net worth and can't fathom that I had car payments that were 30% of my take-home pay. Today's a great day to turn your future around. So hopefully these types of videos that I make give you some sort of motivation, or at least deter you from falling into these same traps, the same situations that we're seeing. But we have a clip from the Dave Ramsey show of somebody paying off a lot of their debt.
What kind of debt was the 158?
A car loan, student loans, credit card, and our mortgage.
Yay!
Whoa.
Looking at weird people.
Yes.
Paid for house. How old are you two?
I'm 28.
I'm 29.
This is so weird.
Not even 30 with a paid for house. Tell us what happened 5 years ago. How'd this journey start and what happened?
We got married in June 2017. Beginning of marriage, we just spent every penny that we made, honestly. It was constantly going out with friends, whatnot. Whatever we had to do, honestly, we did it.
That's pretty cool.
And that was the consumer debt. And we followed the baby steps, got into our house in 2019. 2 weeks later, we found out we were pregnant, which was exciting, but not expected. And then we just knew, game on, we want to pay off this house as quick as possible. We had our second son. They're 13 months apart. So we just kind of had to keep reevaluating our game plan and figure out how to readjust and stay on track. It's been a blessing through it all. We've learned a lot, and I was able to leave my job and raise my babies, which is awesome for me.
So even though this definitely seems like a Midwestern couple with a $158,000 mortgage, that's almost unheard of in many markets around the country, still overall nice to see a positive story of somebody paying off their debt. I mean, having a paid for house and no consumer debt under 30 will definitely give you a leg up the rest of your life. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.